Hey everyone, this is Jenny with Absolutely Handmade. We have had a busy week and I have got some quick and easy thrift flips using IOD and Fusion. Just figured we'd do a couple projects together to show you guys what you can do with limited supplies. You don't have to have a huge craft stash in order to make this happen. So let's jump right into it. This first craft, we're going to use this box that I thrifted that had two little pictures that were coming off of it with Fairy Merry Christmas from IOD. Going to need some water wipes, the Fusion aging wax, and this little scraper that I find way more easy to use than a regular glass scraper. I thrifted this box and honestly I have no idea from where. It's been in my stash forever. It's got a cute little carving layout on it. I'm not a huge fan of the yellow colored wood, so we're going to take care of that here in just a minute. I loved this Very Merry Christmas because it's Christmassy, but it's not. So hopefully I can go ahead and put this in the booth and it's not going to scream Christmas in October. But I love the little fairies with the butterfly wings. I thought that was very fitting for this little box. It's very just petite and feminine, just really cute. And I thought that kind of screamed what this box was looking for. I'm just going to cut those out. And we're not going to use the whole square, obviously. All we've got are those little oval medallions. So had to find something that was big enough to cover the entire medallion up, but had the graphics small enough that it would fit on those medallions as well. So these took care of that. Here I'm just kind of double checking to make sure that the size is going to work. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's going to be really plain if I just put those on there. So we're going to use the Liquid Patina Golden Ticket by DIY. Stir it up really good because that metallic-y substance gets very caked up in this stuff if you don't. So you want to start with it being mixed. And then I just took a very small artist brush and went around and put gold patina on that, or Golden Ticket, the liquid patina, on the frame that's essentially around that oval. Went all the way around. I'm not going to make you watch all of this. I do cut this off at some point. But that liquid patina has got a top coat in it, so we don't have to do anything. Once we get it on there, it's done. Just followed around, did the best I could. It wasn't the most clean painting I've ever done. The lines were not very defined, so it was kind of hard to like stay in the lines, so I did the best I could. But you can kind of see it's coming to life. Like it needed that gold paint to be on there to go around the frame. It was just, the frames were too blah. It wasn't, the little fairies were going to get lost. So I'm glad that I ended up doing that step. Now we're going to go back and add those fairies in. This is where we go back and double check. I kind of used my fingernail to mark it. Kind of got partial way around and realized, oh, we've got some bald space here. So went back around and did it again to make sure I had more of that medallion covered with the Fairy Merry Christmas. Just to kind of give me an idea. Lay her back down. Make sure that the most of that butterfly wing is in that oval. I was really trying to keep the butterfly aspect. I didn't want to try to get too much of that transfer on the liquid patina area. And you can go back and touch it up. That's what we're going to do here in just a minute. So it's not a big deal if you get some on there. But I was really trying my hardest just to do the oval medallion. So go in and rub that down. And it doesn't take a whole lot to get this to stick. So the IOD transfers are amazing when it comes to that. You barely rub them. They go right on. If you rub too hard and it's on a painted surface, sometimes you'll pull that painted surface back up. So you definitely have to find the sweet spot. And see, because it is this kind of transfer, I had a little bit of a bald spot at the top, and I was like, I'm just going to pull that piece back out, rub it on there again, and try and get a little bit more of that to cover up at the top, and you can't tell where one was and where the other one started, so it worked out perfect. Pull the golden ticket back out, just kind of touch up where I goofed, and got the transfer on the frame. Apparently I fiddle with my fingers a lot when I craft. Do you guys fiddle when you craft? I didn't realize I did it that much, so I started videoing myself, and I see how much I like I was just doing then, like tap on my fingernails and play with my fingers. I rub surfaces way too many times just for the sake of doing it, I guess. I don't know. Still touching up. I also had my iPad kind of set up in front of me just so you guys kind of know what's happening. And I was chatting with my mom and my sister. So I may have kind of taken a break here and there to say something to them, and it didn't make sense to edit the video that way. So do you guys like craft and carry on conversations with people? I mean, obviously I carry on conversations with people in my house because they're right in front of me, or I'll talk to the dogs or something to get them to calm down. But I am notorious for either turning on a YouTube video that I'm really not going to pay attention to. Jersey. Sorry if you can hear him barking. He barks at leaves blowing across the driveway or something. Or I'll turn on a movie I've seen 100 times. You know, like The Proposal or Blind Side, or Just Go With It, or something of that nature. I've seen those so many times I can't even count. I can quote most of them from start to finish. Blended, that's another one. Some of my movie favorites. Just to kind of give you guys another peek into my existence beyond YouTube. We are big movie buffs. We quote movies all the time. My husband and I kind of have our own little language talking to each other sometimes. And some people will look at us and hear us talk, and they kind of give us faces. And I'm like, oh no, we're quoting a movie. Sorry. So, anyways, now we're going to work on the second fairy. Again, trying to keep those butterfly wings in the picture, because that was kind of the focus of this one. I wanted to make sure that you could see those butterfly wings as much as possible. So I was just kind of rubbing around to make sure that we had it in the right area. Go in and rub that edge down, and then we'll go back and rub the middle down. And again, you don't have to press super hard. Just press hard enough for it to stick on. Find that sweet spot. I do find that the IOD transfers, in my opinion, transfer easier than some of the competitors. I've tried some of like the Amazon transfers. I've tried some of the other large crafting companies. And these to me are easier than those. Plus they look less like a sticker. They lay a lot flatter and are a lot more a part of the piece. I find that some of the competitors and the Amazon ones kind of stick up off the surface a little bit and kind of look more like a sticker. And I'm just not a big fan of that. I like it to look like it's painted on, or you know, like a decoupage or something of that sort. So Jersey is barking a whole lot in the background too, because my parents are here, and every time my parents pop in and out of a room, he acts like that's the first time he's seen them. They've been here for days. So I don't know. He's not a fan of visitors apparently. But we're going to go ahead and finish getting that transfer put down, and we're going to go back and touch up just like we did the other one. Just touch up around that liquid patina with the golden ticket. And here I'm just kind of dabbing it on in order to cover up that transfer that went over that I didn't really want on there. It did make the paint a little thicker, so it took a few minutes for it to dry. I didn't want to use a lot of heat since I had those transfers down. I didn't want to ruin them. I like the golden ticket. It's a pretty gold. Some of them are kind of a gaudy gold and some of them are too orange. This one seems to be a nice kind of a bronzy gold, if that makes sense. It's got a little bit of a dullness to it, which I actually like. And it glimmers more in like the lighting. So here I'm just kind of looking and double checking to make sure it's all painted up. I didn't miss anything. Trying to make sure that transfer is not peeking back through the paint once it's on. Once I've got it good and covered, we're going to let this dry. Checking the other one. I actually had gotten some in a couple places and I was able to kind of lift it back off with my fingernail. All right, so now we're going to let the golden ticket dry. I was kind of trying to look and see if I wanted to put any of that golden ticket on the hardware, and I was like, no, I actually kind of like the patina that's on there, so we're just going to leave it alone. So I was checking the box. I was like, okay, what do I think about the box? What do you guys think about this one? I have no idea what it was in its past life. The pictures that were on there didn't make a lot of sense. Maybe it was like a touristy thing from maybe Hawaii, because we're not that far from Hawaii and a lot of people go there and bring things back. So maybe that's what it was. I don't know. It had that mirror on the inside. And it's just kind of a box. It's not really... It's not like it looks like it's necessarily a jewelry box. There's no spots to put, you know, rings or necklaces or anything like that on the inside. Here I'm just kind of fiddling around with it and waiting on that golden ticket to dry. I could have cut this out. I was editing this video after I took a nap on the sofa for many hours yesterday afternoon. I was up until 4 a.m. So I edited the video overnight after my nap. This morning I'm tired, but I did sleep. It just was broken. And we had another storm roll through Phoenix, which we don't have a lot of storms this time of year. So that was kind of nice and scary at the same time. It rattled my house really hard and made noises. We thought it was maybe jets flying over at first. And then we realized it was thunder. Okay. So, seems to be drying off. Again, checking the hardware. This is where I realized it doesn't actually latch, but that's okay. We're not looking for it to be functional. It's just supposed to be pretty. Open, close, that kind of thing. Now I'm looking at it and I'm like, I really like all the little details, but I feel like they're lost. Not a huge fan of the orangey color wood, especially against that gold that I'd put on there. So the next step is definitely going to be necessary. Because remember, these transfers, you have to seal them with something. So we're going to seal them with Diffusion Aging Wax. And that should darken up the wood some. It should also bring out the details in that carving so that it's more obvious and more apparent. Should make for a lot prettier backdrop for these fairies. Just rub it on. I ended up rubbing it on the whole piece, hoping to kind of dull down some of that orange around the sides and the backs, front, that kind of thing. Not just the top. Definitely do it over the fairies. We want to seal them in. Make sure they're good and waxed. You have to use a wax. You have to use a top coat. You have to use some type of clear paint of some sort or some type of sealer over your transfers to ensure they're going to stay on and stay protected. So, got that done. Wait just a second. I went and grabbed one of my shop towels. This is where I'm like, oh yeah, I need to rub it on the whole thing. So rub it around the whole box. And this isn't really, like I didn't sand or anything like that, so it's not grabbing on. It's literally just going to leave that little bit of color on the surface, which is what I wanted. I just wanted to dull down the orange. And you can see it already looks a lot better just on the top with the orangey stuff being dulled down some. Just go around the whole thing. You can see that like tongue and groove kind of setup that it has on the edges. It's a very well made box. It's pretty. It's got a couple different woods. The feet are a different color. So I was trying to kind of tie everything together and darken up that orange wood some. Okay, now we've got all that done. It's been sitting for a couple minutes now. This video is sped up ×2, so now we're going to go back and wipe it down, leaving some of the color on. I didn't wipe super hard. I more just was trying to get rid of like brush strokes, and I wanted to leave that dark down in those carvings, but I also wanted to not wipe it all off the surfaces either, because I wanted to keep that orangey colored tone down some. So we'll just go through and continue to wipe it all down, wipe it off. You can wipe it until you like what you see. If you wanted to go back to the orange and you just wanted to age it a little bit, you can keep wiping, keep buffing that wax. You could go back with some clear wax if it's too dark, and clear wax acts as an eraser to pull some of that off. So if the dark wax wasn't what I was wanting you to see, it could have easily been taken back off. Just wipe it all down one more time. Looks much different than where we started, doesn't it? This is where I'm looking, going, do I need anything else? Nope. That was it. Do the reveal. I love that golden ticket around those. I really think that pops those fairies a lot. I was a little concerned they were going to get lost on that backdrop, so that definitely was the right choice, I think. What do you think? Would you have done something different? Maybe a brown or a black to pop them even more? I guess I could have gone that route too, but I like the way this turned out. All right, for our next one, this little shelf that I found at, by the looks of the sticker, it looks like it must have been a Goodwill. It's one of those, we're going to change it up with Snowdrop, the new Fusion. This is their new white. Then we're going to also use Partridge Lane. But this was just a little mass-produced shelf. I don't know where it came from. It looks like a Hobby Lobby something. It had some little hooks on the bottom, but only one of them was left. The other two had come off. So we're going to figure out something different for that. What I was seeing for this is like a Christmas card holder for the Christmas season. A mail drop, that kind of thing. Something cute that you can just kind of drop stuff in. I thought that little cording at the top would be cute to kind of tuck some cards in. And we end up adding cording at the bottom as well, so you can tuck them from below as well. But we painted that white with Snowdrop. It did take 3 coats. The whiter the color, the more coats it sometimes takes. So after 3 coats, we got that all covered up. Really wanted to pop these little houses from Partridge Lane. These things are adorable, and I've been trying to find the right project to use them on. Of course, I may have to grab another transfer booklet and do them again, because I thought this was so cute, but just kind of had them hang off the bottom. We definitely want to ground those houses, but I also wanted to get the tip top of that one house that's super tall. So just kind of creased it so I had an idea of where to lay it back down. And lay it down, line it up where we want it, and then just kind of press to start, and then go back and really press to get it transferred. And again, this is where that, press hard but not too hard thought process comes in. We did just put paint down. It is a primer, a paint, and a top coat in one, so it didn't need to have any type of coating added to it in order to get these to stick well, but it's still paint. So don't press too hard, because you'll lift the paint back off, or you can lift the paint back off. Fortunately, with Fusion, I don't find that happens very often, unless the surface just wasn't prepped very well. So if it was like a slick surface, or if it was maybe a surface that had a grease of some sort, a hand, like a oil from your hand, something like that, it may lift back off with the paint. But for the most part, Fusion sticks pretty well. And y'all saw last week on that comparison, melange works really well for this too. So if you wanted to use melange, that would be a great option as well. It is also a top coat primer primer paint and top coat with the UV top coat in it. Whew. Words today are hard, difficult. Very hard. Very difficult. Having some issues. I think maybe it's Jersey barking's part of it, but also lack of sleep. I know some of y'all are kind of keeping up. It is wedding week this week. I ended up deciding to do the melange video last week instead of this coming week. So you guys are seeing this as we are prepping to head north in Arizona to have the wedding over the weekend. And we're doing last minute things, trying to pick up cakes and pick up food and things like that we couldn't get early. So it's just a busy week. Makes your brain reel all the time. So the overnights sometimes are hard too. Just even if you are ready to lay down and go to sleep, your mind's busy. Plus we've got family coming in and out, and my mom and dad are here. They've been here for a couple days. My mother-in-law came in yesterday with her cousin. My sister comes in tomorrow. It's just getting busy. So y'all bear with me. More to come. After the wedding is over with, I have lots of crafting ideas in my head. I've been kind of putting off because we've had wedding projects. The bride has had a lot of projects for me, and I love it. They've turned out really cute. But I didn't want to disappoint her, so I've been trying to kind of put my things aside to make sure her things got taken care of. So we're there. Everything's done as far as projects, I think, for me. Unless something comes up last minute, I think we're pretty much caught up. All right, so I decided to add a little piece of the garland on either side of these houses just because it looked kind of plain sitting there on that white background. I do like the white. I think it pops. Honestly, I think a pink would have been pretty as well. Like if you were going to do a pink theme, or maybe a mint green would have popped them really pretty. So white wasn't the only option. I just thought it was really cute to start with. Gave us a nice, blank background for those houses. A color would have been pretty though, because there is some snow on those houses that kind of gets lost in the white. So yeah, like a mint green would have been perfect. Or even like a light blue. A light blue would have been really pretty as well. If we'd done like Champness from Fusion, or I know there's a color in Melange called Blue Moon. That's a really pretty light blue that would have been perfect for this as well. So a couple of different options would have been perfect just as well. So this is where you actually get to see where you can kind of piece the garlands back together. I didn't quite cut off enough. Just layer them up. If they overlap each other, that's okay. If they hang off the edge, that's okay. You're just going to rub down what touches the surface. If it doesn't touch the surface, it's not going to stick. These transfers are so easy. And again, guys, y'all are watching. We're using some Fusion Aging Wax. That liquid patina paint, you could have used a regular paint and done something else. The Fusion Snowdrop, the Fairy Merry Christmas, and the, Partridge Lane. This isn't a lot of crafting supplies. These transfer books are not super expensive. There's way more transfers in the book than what you're going to spend on that. So they equal less than $1 a piece. So this big long piece is less than $1. These transfer books are an amazing investment. The Partridge Lane is beautiful. I've had a ton of people order Winter Botanist. That's going to be something that's great for Christmas or not. The Santa's Hollow actually doesn't just have Santa stuff in it. It's got some stuff for fall in it as well as things that'll work for just the winter season. So it would run from now in October, November timeframe all the way until like February, March timeframe when spring starts to kick in. So you definitely can get a lot of time out of these books. I know many crafters have used these books a lot, and they still have elements of them for years. So you may be using some of these for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road, depending on what your projects look like. The average crafter is probably not going to use an entire transfer book in one season. But those of us who craft every week for YouTube to create content tend to go through them faster. So I usually have one transfer book set aside for my videos, and I have one set aside for personal. I think this turned out really cute. You can see I just added a piece of thick twine on the bottom that's similar to the twine that was on the top. And that way we have a place to tuck. It is very tight down there, so it's not going to be loose enough, hopefully, that stuff can stick. You also maybe could get those little tiny, like, clothespins on the bottom one. That would be really cute. Actually, that just popped in my head. That's pretty cool. The small clothespins, just where you can, like, pin your Christmas cards on there. That would be another option. So, next, another quick and easy find from Goodwill. This tin came exactly the way it looks. It had this copper. It was already looking like it had patinaed. It's got the little, the black flecks in it. It was perfect. I didn't need to touch it. Just cleaned it up. And now we're pulling out the Christmas Joy IOD transfer. And they had this little, it's almost like a patch. And we're just going to apply that patch to the side of this container. Stuck down very well. The surface was a little shiny, so it just grabbed onto it. Now we're just kind of, honestly, these solid ones, to me, are easier to apply than anything else, because once you start them, the backing just peels off. You rub over them. We're going to apply some Jolie clear wax. You guys have seen me use this 1,000 times, and it will be linked in the description box below so you can find it easier. Isn't that cute? Took like 2 seconds. So you don't have to do projects that take, 30 minutes to an hour or longer. You can do something like this to change up your decor every year. This is going to be super simple. Love the copper. It's got that reddish orange color to it, so it fits in with Christmas decor very well. And that vintage emblem or piece is just really pretty. Okay, so now this one actually came from the DI, Deseret Industries. And we are using Clementine. Clementine, guys, is not a Christmas transfer. It came out in the holiday release. It is limited release, so once we're out of it, we're done. But the elements in there are not for Christmas necessarily. There's a couple of things that remind you of Christmas that definitely are used during Christmas season, but it's just florals. It's botanicals. It's perfect for any project. This is going to go into the winter, the spring. It's good for summer. Be sure if you're going to buy any of the transfers, this is definitely one of them you get. I would say this one and the Winter Botanist are probably the easiest two to use. It has more longevity to it. You're going to be able to use it throughout the year more. I didn't clean the surface with alcohol, which is not necessarily a big no-no, but sometimes the transfers just don't stick as well if you don't clean it with alcohol first, and I should have cleaned it with alcohol. So remember, on the tin, I didn't clean it with alcohol either, and it stuck just fine. But this one, it was struggling a little bit, so I don't know if maybe it had some more of like an oil factor to it, because maybe it had been used in a kitchen or something of that sort, and my cleaning was good, but not good enough. It did stick down just fine. It didn't lift once it was on. I didn't have any problems, but I didn't want it to shift. So you see that I used a little piece of painter's tape just to make sure that I kept the transfer in the right spot. When I first started and I realized it was just kind of sliding around, I was like, no, I don't want this to get messed up. You'll notice the wording. I don't know what it says. I'm sure it's in French, but it looks like Phoenix. And I thought, well, that's kind of cute. We're here in Phoenix. My booth is in Phoenix. So I try to put things out that appeal to the crowds in the area. Whether or not that actually says Phoenix, I don't know. Maybe I'll try and Google Translate it. But it had the cute little lid with it that was red, so that's why I tied in the red floral. Thought that was a really cute little element to add to these containers. So again, we clear coated it with Jolie wax. This one took minutes as well. These do not have to be difficult, guys. Don't make all of your craft projects difficult, and don't buy 1,000 supplies. You don't need them. So this one, we're going to use the Premier 2-in-1, the Snowdrop again, and the Tough Coat Matte from Fusion. We are going to do a paint inlay, the 12th Night. This is my favorite inlay I have probably ever seen, besides like the Floriography, or I'm very into neutrals. So I'm not a big fan of themed crafts. You guys probably noticed most of my elements are very neutral and could be used in different seasons or multiple years. Now, we're pulling out the Alchemy and Birch from Fusion. The more I looked at it, once I put that white primer, the 2-in-1 primer, what was it, stain and blocking bonding primer. Once I put that down, I was like, this is not pure white. So I did not want to use the Snowdrop. So although you saw Snowdrop in the intro part of this little craft, we're not using it. It was just too bright. It wasn't what I wanted. The Birch is a very creamy white. Not really a yellow white. It's more of like a, if it makes sense, it's more of a brown white. So it's more of a neutral white. It is that limestone chalk paint, so you do have to seal it. It does not have a top coat, so we're going to have to make sure we do that. Not a problem, just an extra step that we could have avoided had we used the other Fusion paint. And I could have gone and grabbed, you know, raw silk or Chateau or Champlain or one of those. Those would have worked, but I kind of like using the Alchemy. I think they're kind of fun sometimes because they do have that like slick, chalky feel to them, and that's kind of a neat texture to add to projects. And this one, the thicker paint was fine as well because it was a little rough. I'm sure this is a Hobby Lobby something. It said Farm Fresh, I think, to begin with. I loved the metal handle. I loved the wooden spindle at the top. I thought that little aspect was really cute. Loved it. This whole little container, I'm always looking for containers to put in my booth and to put just in my house in general. I always feel like I'm organizing or sorting. Do you guys feel like you stock up on all kinds of sorting and organizing things? Like it's just something I always grab. I'm big into canisters lately too. I've got a lot of canisters. So anyways, we're going to use the Tough Coat in matte. We're going to seal in the whole project because, again, it's like a chalk paint. It's limestone chalk paint. It's not your normal, typical chalk paint. It's very different. It has like a soft factor to it. I don't know how to explain it. You really should try the Alchemy paints. They're kind of cool. I have very limited supply in the Alchemies. I have a couple. I think I have some Birch. I have an Onyx. I have... there's a brown color one that I have, and I cannot off the top of my head remember what color it was. And I have the white birch or the birch and the white oak. I try to get the neutrals because I was trying it out. So we're trying neutrals. Okay, so now we're going over to the 12th night. We've used this one before. We want to pull all the way back to the back. Took me a minute to find it. I couldn't remember what page it was on. And I want this Noel at the top. It's perfect for this. We'll lay it out across the center of that box. Christmas, but not Christmas kind of thing. Like it is Christmas, but it doesn't say Christmas. I like to get some stuff in my decor that's not Santa and not specifically Christmas. I want it to be like elements of Christmas, maybe a little bit of a religious aspect to it. We are from the South, Southern Baptist kind of thing, so we're big into the nativities, and you'll see me do a nativity later on this season. I've got a couple ideas for that as well. I think next week we're going to do like transfers on containers. I've got a ton of just random containers that may or may not need paint. They've got a lot of cool patinas on them, and I want to try to make those over and get them into my booth. Y'all seen me do like the toolboxes and stuff in the past, and those do really well in my booth, so I think we're going to do that next week. So tune in for that. I think that'll be after the wedding festivities this weekend. And then we'll kick back into some more buildable, creative type things. Now you guys are watching me. We put that top coat on, kind of thick. We wet the inlay, lay the inlay in the top coat. And yes, I dry my top coat all the way. I have not had it decoupage my inlay to my project ever. You just warm it up with the air dryer. You can see it's turning kind of a hazy white. Now we're going to wet it back down. I have another dog in the room with me, Cash, and he's over here shaking his head. I think he has an ear infection. And it sounded like he just burped, which was gross. Okay, now we're going to peel it off. Now, the paint inlays, most of mine come out perfect, like the L. I have no idea why the N did not come out better. They're hit or miss, kind of like the milk paint. It kind of does its own thing despite all of your prep. Like you guys saw me. I put the top coat on, I let it dry. Put a second top coat on, and I put it on thick. Wet the inlay, laid it in it. I mean, I did everything to the left side that I did to the right side. The right side looks great. Left side's a little faded. That's okay. I don't mind it. It's part of what you realize you're going to have happen when you go into this. We are going to use the fusion wax for this, the aging. I mean, you just have to understand when you do the paint inlays that it's not going to always be a perfect print. And that's something you have to wrap your head around. I'm more of a perfectionist, so sometimes these things can irritate me because I want them to be perfect. But at the same time, I also like the aged patina look with my projects, so I have to kind of acknowledge and realize that that's okay, and it looks cute. And it does. It looks cute when it's done. Not every craft has to be perfect. And I have learned over the years with raising 4 kids, having a multitude of dogs run through my house, and now having grandbabies in my house, that the less perfect the things are in your house, the more you get to enjoy your existence. Because I don't care if my grandkids tear something up, or I don't care if the dog chews on something and gives it a weird edge. I just go back and touch it up with paint, and it looks like it fits right back in. So I'm not a perfectionist. I don't like perfect crafts and perfect decor. And you guys probably are seeing that based on some of the stuff that I've done here on the channel. Dust doesn't bother me. I know that sounds weird, but like this time of year, I see dust as a badge of honor in Phoenix because we get to have our doors open for the first time since spring. It's not 1,000 degrees outside. Actually, today, like I said, it's been raining, so it's in like the 60s and 70s overnight this week. The daytime highs, we've barely hit 90. And for October, that's like unheard of. It's usually still hovering around 100 towards Halloween time during the day. The night times are nice. We get nicer night times. So we have our doors open. All that being said, to say we have our doors open. We have our screens open. We open the front door and leave the screen open. We open the back door with the screen. We leave the screen and the back door open a lot during the day and overnight. The front door, obviously, we close it when we're not here or during the evening so that we don't have anybody trying to come in on us. But the dust is going to happen. So this, that looks perfectly imperfect, is just fine. I like that because the rest of my house looks imperfect as well. So it fits right in. I love the brown tone on that handle. It looks beautiful. It's a great touch. I don't know. I just really like this project. I don't like perfect. So this one turned out exactly the way I wanted it to. Now for the last project, we're going to use Highlander, or we thought we were, the Fusion Decoupage Transfer Gel, which is my absolute favorite thing to use for decoupage. This little sign I've had laying around forever, and I was just going to remake it, and then I was like, why? The frame is really cute. This is a really old calendar from Dollar Tree. Guys, grab the calendars from Dollar Tree. They're like $1.50, I think. These were some clearance panels from Hobby Lobby. I grabbed up all of their wood stuff that was clearanced a couple months ago. I think this said it was like $4 for 3 panels. And I thought, well, that's like $1.30. Not really much more than what I would pay. And honestly, at Dollar Tree, some of the stuff's gone up to $1.50 or $3 or $5. So I'm getting to where I'm more okay with buying things at Hobby Lobby if it's in packs. So if I can get 3 of something for $5, it makes more sense than going to Dollar Tree sometimes. So we're going to grab the Dollar Tree calendar. We're going to grab Snowdrop to give us a background to try to... Now this is one of those crafts where you're going to learn from my mistake. Not a huge mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. So the snowdrop is fine. Put that on as a backdrop for that piece of paper from the calendar. The calendar is bright white. I wanted it to be, pop the graphic. Same thing you do with anything else decoupage. Now, here's where I screwed up. I should have painted the back of the calendar page in coal black, just to go ahead and hide the black wording on that page. If I had painted it black, I think it would have been hidden more when I laid it into the decoupage medium, that the wording was not there. You'll see here in a second when I flip this over, we're putting on a nice thick coat of the decoupage gel. And I mean, being super generous. That decoupage gel is really thick. I find that it does not wrinkle as bad when you put it on thicker. Now, the calendar itself wrinkled. I have no idea why. I've never had one do this before. I embraced it. I think I laid it down and left a bubble. And as I went to fix the bubbles, what I should have done was like lay down an edge. So you guys watch me just lay it flat on there. Don't do that. Lay like the edge down, like a bottom or top edge, and then add the decoupage. Do the starter strip. In other words, you've heard us talk about starter strips before. Do a starter strip, lay it down, tack it down, then add the next. See, I'm trying to fix it, and it was making it worse. So I just had to embrace it and move on. But, add the decoupage gel and then just ease it down as you go. Now, that frame from that junky sign fit perfect. I actually bought that sign clearance, I believe, either from Hobby Lobby or from like DI or Goodwill or St. Vincent de Paul's or something. I got it for like 75 cents a dollar, something like that. Pop the frame off. The frame's super cute. It's rustic. I'm not touching it. I love the color. It was the perfect brown. And this is where I was like, do I want to add the Highlander to the edge? No, I do not. We're going to go back and use the DIY Liquid Patina, Dark and Decrepit. Now, guys, I don't use a lot of DIY products. I like some of their paints. I love Debbie. Debbie's a sweetheart. I follow her. She's in several groups I'm in because we sell a lot of the same stuff, so I know a lot about her. There is a stockist in my store for DIY, so obviously I'm not going to step on toes, and I don't think I can, even if I wanted to, but I wouldn't do that to Kim. Y'all heard me talk about Kim from Color Play, and I've mentioned her on here. If y'all need anything from DIY and you don't have a stockist nearby, let me know. I'll be happy to pick it up from Kim and ship it to you. You guys can, obviously, y'all know my links down below. The shopah.com. shop-ah.com is linked below, so you'll see that. But there are some products that I love from DIY that Fusion just doesn't have a competitor to match. I like the Liquid Patina. It's the perfect color brown. It has sealer built in. I put on one coat. If I don't like it being that dark, you can wipe it back off. The sealer still works. The color is better. So it kind of gives you some flexibility, but this has become one of my favorite paint-on stains. Paint Couture has some stains too, but they're more like a glaze, and it's kind of a slick, whereas this one goes on more like a paint, and it absorbs in like a water-based paint. I mean, it is a water-based paint, but water-based stain. But I like the fact that it has the top coat built in. That's very appealing to me because it's a one-step, one and done. So now we're going back, just kind of double checking again to see how that frame's going to fit on there. You can see it's got kind of that, what's it called? The little lip around the edge where normally the backing would have fit in there. So we're going to use the Gorilla Glue, the clear Gorilla Glue. This is one of my favorites. And the Loctite Super Glue. So the Super Glue, the professional liquid, is going to hold it instantly. And the Gorilla Glue is going to take a day or so to dry. But I wanted that additional grip factor. The Super Glue is amazing. I've seen, there's a lady I follow who does a lot of like Etsy store education type YouTube videos. I can't think of her name off the top of my head right now, but she uses that professional super glue, Loctite super glue, for wood signs that she makes, and that's all she uses. She makes these massive 3 and 4 and 5 foot signs, and she just glues them down with that super glue. So it does hold very well, but I like the added, like cover of the Gorilla Glue as well. So a lot of times I'll use the super glue as like a fast glue And then I use the Gorilla Glue to be the more of like overtime kind of finish. So I'm sitting there looking at it and I'm like, okay, these wrinkles I need to just embrace. So we're going to pull the furniture wax back out, the aging wax, and we're just going to put it over the whole thing. It's a slick page because it's a calendar page, so it's not going to like absorb necessarily, but those wrinkles, it's going to kind of set in those and just go ahead and bring them out. Again, we're going for perfectly imperfect. It's okay for it to look imperfect. That's one thing I hope you guys are embracing as you're watching my crafts and as you're doing your own. Like, you can have imperfect perfection. It doesn't have to be perfect every time you do it. Don't be hard on yourself. See, in this review, you can see we did the wax around it. You can see those wrinkles. It adds to it. It's not taking away from it, but you can also see the calendar in the back. So that's my fault. Learn from my mistake. Paint the back of your calendar page with black paint before you put it on. That way the calendar numbers are not sticking out quite so bad. But I still love it. I think it turned out really cute. It is going in the booth. So anyways, guys, this week let's like, comment. Be sure and leave me a comment. I'm enjoying chatting with you guys. Be sure to share the video. Click subscribe. Make sure you click on the bell so that you get notifications when I post a new video. Pray for us this week and have a blessed weekend, guys. Goodbye.